Why do you never try to stop her? Fight back. Do something.
So, how many times have you been at this?
What did you do?
Oh, come on. You're not telling me you haven't learned how to pause time yet. I figured you'd be way past that. Don't worry, lover boy. She's okay. But she is an eyeline a little bit, so why don't we just, So, this isn't the first time we've had this conversation, is it?
How did you know?
I know about the slipping. And who do you think paved that road? Any guesses? Survey says?
He who remains.
Hey.
Hey, panelers, welcome back to the show. I'm Mark.
And I'm Steve.
And welcome to Panels to Pixels podcast. We're basically covering Loki Season 2. We're doing the remaining episodes. For those panelers that have been listening, sorry, I did not get episodes 3 and 4, which we did actually record. I lost the actual audio completely on my computer when I was doing massive amounts of podcast editing, not just for, Panels to Pixels, but also for Adrenaline. So I'm sorry for that. And I'm sorry to Steve, too, because we spent a good half hour, 45 minutes.
It was a good little episode, but it's okay. Those things happen.
Things happen, but we decided, all right, well, we're going to cover 3, 4, 5, and the finale, which is episode 6. So this is going to be an interesting one. So we actually already did episodes 1 and 2, which you could go back to if you haven't listened to this podcast before. But we'll be covering episodes 3, 4, 5, and 6 of Loki Season 2. That's on Disney Plus. So we'll move on. And obviously, this is a spoiler-full podcast. So just keep in mind, those of you who have never listened before, this is spoiler-full. And we will be talking about at the end how the season ending might possibly and how it possibly would affect the MCU in the movies coming up, even though the Marvels has just released too at the same night that Loki Season 2, Episode 6, the finale, showed up. There's a lot going on. And with that, we're going to move right in and we're going to give you the episode titles and the synopsis. So, Steve, start us off with the first one.
Sure. Loki Season 2, Episode 3, 1893 is Loki and Mobius go on the hunt to find everyone's favorite cartoon clock as they try to save the TVA.
And Season 2, Episode 4, Heart of the TVA. The synopsis there is the TVA looms near catastrophic failure, but Loki, Mobius, and Sylvie have a He Who Remains variant.
And Season 2, Episode 5, Science/Fiction. Loki traverses dying timelines in an attempt to find his friends, but reality is not what it seems.
And Season 2, Episode 6, Glorious Purpose, but I did not have the synopsis. But it is the season finale. So we'll just leave it at that. I didn't get the synopsis put in. But the fact is, the season finale leads into a lot of stuff that we'll talk about. Like I stated, anything that's going on with the MCU. So with that, we'll move right into episode 3 shortly. We're only going to do this for a certain amount of minutes before we get to the season finale. But what did you think of episode 3 as a whole, Steve?
As a whole, I really liked it. It was, I liked seeing the old-timey, Old West kind of area. It was a change from what we've seen before. We had some ancient Greece, we had some other things, we had some other planets in the first season, but actually getting to see the past Earth was pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. I liked it for the fact that we had a World's Fair and we got a lot of exposition in it as far as what was happening within that time. And I'm a huge World's Fair enthusiast of like there certain areas. This one, I believe, was where in Chicago,
Chicago. Yep.
and it was done in the late, I think, 1800s.
1885.
So
Or 1885, because 1868 to 1885 is where
yeah.
they were.
And we get to see a lot of cool references as far as like Thomas Edison, Nikola Tesla.
1893, not 1885. I've got it wrong.
Yeah, because it's 1893 is the episode.
Right.
That's funny. I didn't even
Okay.
think of it. I said, yeah, late 1800s.
I'm suddenly listening to it going, wait a minute. No, I messed up something there. So yeah. Okay.
I'm not even reading anything that's there. But yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a time there that I just like. So we got a lot of cool references. We got a lot of good visuals based upon with that time. And I think it's a little bit more realistic too. So I just like the ambiance. I love the intro to the show where they have the MCU theme, but it's done in ragtime for its time that they did. So, and then we do get a little snippet of Miss Minutes under the Marvel banner that always gets all the MCU stuff in it.
Yeah,
From
you said
certain movies.
I still haven't been able to catch it. It's too quick for me to catch it, but I'll take your word for it. It's there.
It's there, and it's pretty cool. So with that, we'll go into our favorite moments within it and what we liked about the episode. So Steve, you want to start us off? This is going to be casual conversation, everybody, so keep that in mind.
The first thing I've got is just real quick. It was a line that I didn't catch in the first time or the first couple times viewing, but I caught it in this most recent one, is that OB says the timelines that were pruned by Docs are growing back.
Yes.
It's a really quick line from Obi, but suddenly we realize that all those ones that she pruned are growing back. So that means those people are coming back, but it also means more timelines are out there. And this ties in towards the end when we get to, when we get to episode 6 and we start hearing about duplicate timelines being made and infinite number of timelines and all that. So it was interesting to have that little callback there. And when I caught that from OB, that those ones that she pruned, because, they made a big deal. Sylvie and everybody made a big deal out of them killing all those people, all those timelines. Well, now they're coming back. So yeah. I don't know how that plays into their theories about the TVA and stuff.
Yeah. One of my moments was more of Victor Timely getting that sight of him. We take off literally where we saw him at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So we see that scene where Mobius and Loki show up, but we do get that whole introduction of how he's able to get it. So we see him at one point as a kid, and he gets the TVA handbook from Renslayer through Miss Minutes. And apparently this was according to the plan. And the plan was originally spoilers from He Who Remains.
Well, she says that in this episode. So it's not really a spoiler. But yeah, that's in this episode. Because I had that in my notes also here, Miss Minutes, that she keeps saying she's running the plan that he created, even though he's dead. She's still going to keep running his plan.
Yeah. And I just like how they had to skip ahead and then they get there. You see the camaraderie between Mobius. We mentioned this before when we previously recorded this. I like the buddy cop thing and how they get along, like the Merton Riggs, like we've spoken before about their relationship, and how when Loki sees it was Thor, Baldur, and the Odin. Is it Odin?
Yeah. Odin, yeah.
Their visage on like it looks like cut tree posts or whatever it was to look like them, and how Mobius is like a cool friend saying, "Yeah, you are God. I forget that you're a God. You are an amazing person."
Yeah,
and it's so cool, and the fact that we do get to see Loki and he does use his magic.
We got a lot of magic in this season alone, all throughout. We got a lot more magic, I think, than even in the first one, really. And we had snippets of it in the first one, but this one particularly, this is one of my notes, is that fight between Loki and Sylvie where they're throwing their magics around and throwing Victor around and stuff. Is just really, really great. I thought it was just amazing to me. With the whole thing about when he flashes his magic and those thugs run away, they're like, "You can have him, okay, we're gone," and they leave. It was really, I thought that was great. And again, just the use of magic this season has been great, I think.
Yeah, and to add to that fight scene too, is done on an older version of what would be like a Ferris wheel, but
Mhm.
instead of that, it looks like train cars going around.
Yeah, yeah, almost like the London the Eye in London. Those big has those big cars that I've
Yeah.
never been in because the line was always too long. But they're like really big cars that you have that to set in. So that was pretty cool to
Yeah,
see.
yeah, and they had, and each fight though was from car to car because each person was in a car, so
Yeah.
it's as if they were in their own little universe at one point,
Mhm.
and they finally get off it, obviously, and they wind up, I guess Renslayer and Victor Timely as well as Miss Minutes get away, and they're traveling away to wherever his other place of work is, which is
Yeah,
across
in
the river.
Wisconsin, because the taxes are lower. It's lower taxes in Wisconsin.
So, and then on top of that, we get to see how Renslayer is dispatched by Miss Minutes through Victor Timely, just casts him aside, and the one, even though it's kind of wacky, kooky, and crazy, how Miss Minutes has like more of an affection for Mister
Mhm.
Timely, or He Who Remains, and how her obsession is, and then we realize her background. Basically, she was an AI, but was allowed to advance on her own, and with
Mhm.
that, she has emotions and things of that nature for He Who Remains, and tries to impose that onto Victor Timely himself because he's just another alternate version of him,
Mhm.
and it's so weird. It's so
Yeah.
cringy.
Yeah, there's that creepy moment. Yeah, when she says, "I could be your girl and I love you," and he finally gets the Tim pad and gets her turned off. I thought was interesting, and also that Tim pad ends up Renslayer ends up having that Tim pad again, which is always this confused me when I saw it. So Sylvie sends them to the end of time, but Renslayer's got a Tim pad, so really she can do whatever she wants. She
Yeah.
doesn't have like it was just weird that Sylvie like neglected to take away the Tim pad, or didn't realize she had her own Tim pad. I don't know. It just was weird that Sylvie made such a big point of, oh, I'm sending you to the end of time instead of killing you,
Hmm.
and then so that's when she whips out that Tim pad and she releases Miss Minutes. And I'm like, when did she get that from? Because Victor had it, and I guess she took it from him when she was in that workshop before they. It was just it just was one of those continuity moments that kind of confused me a little bit. And of course, in the next episode, we're going to see them come back from the end of time
Hmm.
and go into the where the general is and stuff. So General Dox is. So
Yeah, and then we do get answers, which uh leads us to, because Miss Minutes kind of says something to Renslayer about, oh, well, you don't know. And
yeah,
then we were left on that cliffhanger, and Renslayer with the weapon and things of that nature towards the end of that episode, and which leads us to episode 4. And what were your thoughts on this?
it was a. I liked episode 4. I didn't like it probably as much as I liked episode 3.
Yeah.
But we do get that. It was good. These last 3 episodes just seemed like I can't put my finger on why. Like we'll get to episode 5, and I've got thoughts about episode 5. But,
Okay.
but episode 4 was okay. It was just good. It wasn't like
It wasn't
it.
amazing. I would agree with that. It wasn't amazing, but it had its moments here and there, and that's about it for
Oh yeah,
me.
yeah.
But we did get a few more answers. We do get to see a lot of pruning
Mm-hmm.
and killing at this time too, which we're not really happy about. And
Yeah, it
actually,
gets
we had
dark.
discussed
Yeah.
this before,
Mm-hmm.
but we find out that He Who Remains had wiped out Renslayer's mind from Miss Minutes, because we get like a kind of like a flashback to
Yeah.
that moment, and he orders Protocol 42 to Miss Minutes, which not only wipes her mind but everybody else's mind in the TVA.
Yeah.
And it kind of reminds me of Order 66, like in Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it's his way of controlling everybody at this point within the TVA, because he is in charge of the TVA.
Yeah.
And then we get Victor Timely brought into the TVA, and he's working with them, along with them. He has his moments of obsession or loving of OB.
Yeah, that fanboy moment from both
that
of them.
both of them together, and then on top of that, he's seeing newer technology, which he loves to look at, like with hot chocolate. Mobius shows him the hot chocolate, and then there's a machine. There's a machine that does this.
Yeah.
Because he's from 1893, he doesn't know, and he gets obsessed with that, and then it kind of moves into the conversation with who actually came first, the chicken or the egg, because the TVA handbook that was given to Timely was written by Mobius and not Mobius, OB.
Right.
And then OB kind of, because I guess Timely is referenced within it, and he knows who Timely is. And it's like, will you sign mine? Will you sign mine? And it was that whole fanboying thing.
Yeah,
but it was
really
a way
cool
for them to work with one another. But I thought it was interesting for the fact that he was brought in to work with dealing with the loom. And then he has a device that is pretty much a model that was to fix certain things for the through port for the loom, to fix the branches, and it's in a small scale, but they're able to implement it within the actual adapter or through port to diminish the amount of branches that are going on within the rings.
Right. Well, no, they want to make the rings. They're going to make the rings wider.
Yeah.
So the rings can accommodate more time. But we'll get to that when we get to episode 6. We'll talk some more about that.
Yeah.
But and we had that moment in this episode where you called it. It was Loki who pruned himself. There from episode 1, we were wondering that, and I remember you saying that all the way back in episode 1. Well, maybe Loki, like a future Loki, did it to himself. I was like, yep. And so we get that in this episode. We get Sylvie and Loki on the phone where they're trying to figure out what to do about Miss Minutes. And Obi says, well, I can reboot her, but if I do that, all the safety protocols go down, like using magic in the TVA. And they're like, shut it off, turn it off. Because then she's able to enchant Brad, and Brad goes in, and as an enchanted Brad goes in and then prunes Renslayer. Which I thought was again another one of those moments where we get to see Loki and Sylvie using magic there,
which is pretty cool. But sadly enough, Brad is also incorporated with Renslayer, and they wind up killing a lot of the resistance, as it were.
Yeah, General Dox and her Minutemen, all that line, that chill, that moment we talked about this, in that moment when Miss Minutes just has this glee, look at glee on her face as we see as the box is getting smaller, and you can see Renslayer's shutting her eyes and grimacing, and Brad is doing the same thing. He's shutting his eyes and he doesn't want to watch it. But that line from Dox where she says, "How does it feel knowing that all of us would rather die than follow you out that door?" was just chilling to Renslayer, and Renslayer then. So yeah, it was a dark moment in the show for us, I think.
Well, also this whole scene with them and how they wanted to basically preserve certain things so they could have their own life. I think that's kind of foreshadowing what we do see in the finale and episode 5 as well, because we get to see people in our own lives. Like we said, this is spoilers. But by episode 5, we do see.
Yeah, we've already said spoilers. We don't need to keep telling them we're spoilers. We told them if they haven't watched the show yet, then why are they listening to us? But yeah, there's a lot of things that from 4 are going to tie into these later episodes. But it was really cool to see that sign on we talked about this before also, that sign on the model of the loom that says not to scale, and OB's like I was only able to do 1 coat of paint, and this isn't to scale. I didn't make all the figures of all of us, and they're all just
back to the future moment.
Yeah, the back to the future, the Doc Brown moment, and Loki's just like, it's fine, it's really fine. Was just a really funny moment, a good homage to Back to the Future, like you said.
And there was an homage to Jurassic Park as well, to shutting it down and things of that nature too.
Rebooting the system. Yeah.
All right.
I love when we get this conversation between Sylvie and Loki, and I reference this a little bit in 3 because we hear those timelines are growing back again, But Sylvie still, I guess she doesn't know that because she still cares about the fact that all those timelines got pruned, and she's so mad. Well, why do we want to build up the TVA when they let all those timelines get killed? And it really was interesting, Sylvie caring about these timelines that you wouldn't normally think that would be something. And then, like ending up in the pie shop. I made a wrong turn. I ended up with where the pies are. It was really cool. All this, like 4, now I'm starting to, yeah, 4 was a little bit better than what I said. It was just all right. It was good.
It was a little bit dark and gloomy at points, I think. And that's and we do at the very end, we're left with that whole, wow, Victor Timely just went all spaghetti on us at the very end. So we kind of lost Victor, but how are they going to fix this? What's the next step of what's going on? And later on, like between episodes 5, even 6, we get the whole time slipping comes back with Loki.
And this is why I think this is one of the reasons why I didn't like 5, because I was just like, why are we back to this? Is it because the loom exploded? We're back to him time slipping again. And it just was a very,
and it became
weird,
like an important factor of like the overall season. It's just that it the way like you and me, we got a little bit confused as to why is this an issue. And at the very end, we kind of get an idea because He Who Remains actually does explain it in season and episode 6.
Yeah, but here's my problem. Okay, here's part of my problem with episode 5. It felt like a waste because he gets everybody together and just for them all to disappear. Okay, he gets Casey, who's now known as Frank, from 1962 San Francisco. B-15 Dr. Willis is in 2012 New York. Mobius / Dawn is in 2022 Cleveland. Obi, I didn't catch what his name was.
Same here, but he's a science fiction writer. That's why it's called science fiction.
Yeah, whatever. And he's in Pasadena in 1994. Okay, so we gather them all together. And I was just like, Obi built a TIM pad based from what he saw in the handbook, and he says it took him 19 months, and 1 month he lost his wife and lost his job and had to move out. And I was just like, it just was and then of course the end of the episode, they all just turn into spaghetti. And I'm like going, so what was the point of the whole point of this episode was just to get us to the point where Obi says, well, you have to start controlling your time slipping. Okay. It was cool to see the backstories of these characters. It was cool to see Mobius and his jet ski selling stuff, but still it was just, it just like that whole thing.
I think they just wanted to give us those little snippets of Mobius and factor in what that whole jet ski thing was. Literally him carrying that in his brain from another alternate version of himself. That's why it carried into the main TVA plot point where he's got those magazines.
We knew that though.
So, and then Hunter B-15 as a doctor, Casey as one of the prisoners that had originally escaped from Alcatraz that they never figured out or found out. And then obviously OB, and then realizing, okay, OB is not exactly what we like. I had speculated, like I always thought either he's a different version of Kang or he's a different version of Loki. But in this case, he's just somebody that is trapped in the TVA as well and mind wiped. And then you got Sylvie there as well, where in this particular one, Loki tries to convince her. The few things that I take away that I liked within it was seeing Mobius initially, where he's sitting on the jet ski in the shop, but you don't know it's the shop, but you have John Farnham's song from the movie Rad in it. That I just love that song, and just the introduction of their different characters that I liked, but the recruiting, we do get like a callback to with Brad with the Zaniac game in the bar when Sylvie and Loki are talking. I kind of like that. There are little things. I can't say I hated the episode. I liked little aspects about it, but I think this was one where it's like it fell short for the penultimate episode
Yeah, it
Or
missed the mark. It missed the mark on so many things for me. Like, there's a couple, and there's stupid little things that they put in there that they never explain. Like,
Yeah.
for instance, why does Sylvie remember him? Nobody else remembers him, but Sylvie does. Okay, maybe it's because she's a Loki and she's like, whatever. But
Yeah.
they don't give us any explanation that, okay, she puts this bag of food and her drink on the truck and it disappears. There's no explanation of that. I don't know if that's a continuity error or if there actually was something going on there. Like,
I think somebody got fired from the show because they didn't do continuity properly.
But you hear a sound, and that sound is it's a little thing that just bugs me. That why would you put that in there? And then like the whole thing about the Tim pad, just that OB makes disappearing, and they make a big deal about, well, Casey, did you take it? And I'm like, obviously Casey didn't take it, because if he had took it, he wouldn't be there anymore.
Correct.
So it's a stupid
that was
question
too
to
obvious,
ask.
and it was a
But
stupid
still,
argument too.
It's a stupid question to ask, because he's standing right there. Why would he be standing there if he took the Tim pad? Also, who took the Tim pad? I'm like,
I think it was Loki, a different version of Loki, but they didn't show it. So I think that Loki.
I don't even think that. I'm just gonna say it was just crap writing. I'm sorry, just crap writing, because why have this big argument about who took the Tim pad and then no explanation of it. Yeah. Nothing to follow up. And we have no reason to follow up on it either, because Loki figures out that, okay, it's his concentration. It's his wanting to not be alone, wanting to be with Sophie. That's what is his whatever. It's not why, it's who, now I can control my time slipping. Great. So we just made a whole episode to get us to that point of him controlling his time slipping. And it's just like, Sylvie is in the record shop, and somehow she doesn't disappear. She's able to use her Tim pad and go back to OB's lab and tell them, no, you do have to do something because the timelines are erupting. And then they all just, it's just crap writing to me. This episode that episode 5 just doesn't make any sense to me. And I'm going to stand out and say, it doesn't make sense. There's too many things that, I
understand.
Sure, you can say it's cool that we got to see some of it, and it
was okay, cool for little things, but like I said, they did fall short for a penultimate episode. The only cool takeaways, like I said, were what I talked about. It's interesting that Obi was a science fiction writer. We do get the Velvet Underground's "Oh Sweet Nothing" in there, and apparently that was based on the directors, the duos that do the directing vision and vibe they wanted to create when everything starts to spaghetti on Sylvie at that time. Then everyone spaghettis out on Loki, and it stops it after Sylvie goes away. They repeat the same moment. And this is where I state, and it goes right into, I think Loki technically is the key to everything that's going on literally within the MCU, because it wasn't until he literally took whatever it was from the first Avengers movie, I forget what it is, but he takes that, and that's when he gets trapped in the TVA. I think that's when everything went to craziness with all these alternate universes and everything else. I don't think it was Wanda. Wanda was only a little small speck of what was going on, but I think Loki is the key, and that's when we get really into within episode 6, where we get the nitty gritty, which we should really talk about, because that is the prime directive.
I will give you some props. You know the music better than I did. So I can see your appreciation of this episode, because you recognize it. I didn't. I don't recognize.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I know who those bands are. I don't know those songs. I would not. And the subtitles didn't give us the titles like they usually do. The subtitles that I had anyway didn't give us. It just said rock music playing. And I was like, it's really not, does it sound like rock music? It sounds like something different. And I went to IMDb, and there was no list of the songs and no music listing. So I had no way to appreciate what they had done there. Yeah, the music was cool. I was like, okay. So I get your appreciation of the episode. I just think it was just, I just still stand by that. There's too many things that I look at and go, why put this in there? Why put it in there if you're not going to explain it?
Yeah.
Like, just if don't put it in there if you're not going to explain it. If you're not going to it just bugs me. And it's obviously it's little things, but still. Okay. Episode 6, glorious. What is it? Glorious purpose. Yeah.
Which literally
says,
was, I think a season 1 title at one point.
it might have been because he says it in the previously on. He says something about glorious purpose, and then in the episode he also says glorious purpose as well a couple of times, or at least once in the episode. So yeah, I like the use of the previously on, because even though I rewatched season 1, I do not remember He Who Remains saying reincarnation, baby.
Yeah,
and
same here.
They really hit that hard in this episode, him saying reincarnation, baby. And I'm like, I don't remember him saying that. And so I'm going to go back and rewatch that last episode again and see if maybe they inserted something in there that was a cut scene just so they could stress it. But and that it doesn't make any sense to me. But hey, it's this the version of He Who Remains that Loki interacts with outside of time, like when they freeze Sylvie.
It's a very different character that we saw in season 1 in comparison to this one. It's more, it's in season 1 at the end when we do get to meet He Who Remains. I agree with you. He is a little bit more meeker, more wanting to fix and take care of things within time, whereas this one is a little bit more pompous and a little bit more sinister, I should say, almost a Kang, as it were, because he is technically a version of Kang.
Yeah,
but
it was Jonathan Majors played it. It's like he played the character in this season differently than he played the character in season 1. And
he did.
It's okay. I don't mind it because I get it, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, it's a little. But so getting back to the Groundhog Day of it, I thought was really, really cool.
All right. I was waiting for you to say that. A lot of people use Groundhog Day. I use Happy Death Day was another one that.
Happy Death Day.
My nephew's in-law actually had wrote and directed the two, but I had actually mentioned it to him, and I said to him, I said, "There's all this stuff, but everybody's stealing from everybody." But it's the same thing. Literally, Loki is there trying to redo the same thing over and over again to get up to it, which is so funny and interesting. It's very similar to like what Loki was doing when he had everybody else at the TVA, or them sitting there in the last episode, episode 5, where they're trying to figure out and how to make things work. But in this case, it's working to get something resolved. But in this case, instead of Walter Timely being the one, ultimately Victor. It was Loki that had to fix everything. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought it was there's this one part though, in a montage of humorous scenes set to the tune of Walter Murphy's A Fifth of Beethoven, which is like a disco-ish kind of thing that came out years ago. The events of Loki season 2, episode 4 were played out in several different ways from many different perspectives, according to what I saw online. As Loki attempted to undo the destruction of the TVA. So I liked it very much because it's like him over and over and over again. But at least it's not in your face, but they did it rapidly.
Yeah, I liked that there's a lot of exposition in there. The exposition works though, like when he says, don't set it down because it'll roll off the platform. And when Victor starts to set it down, Loki's like, don't know. This is the last time they do it when they actually were able to launch it. And Loki's like, it's going to work this time. And they're all happy that it's going to work. And then they suddenly realize you can't scale. I got to hear my notes. Timely says you can't scale for infinite.
Yes.
So you can't, it's going to be infinite timelines. You can't scale for that. So, and then, the reveal that the loom really was never supposed to contain the timelines. It was supposed to destroy these timelines and just keep the sacred timeline.
Correct. Yeah.
So we find out that was the actual purpose of the loom, was not to contain all these timelines. It was they were supposed to be getting rid of them as they went along and just keeping the sacred timeline. But of course, that's not what ended up happening. And I love, then when he figures out that, okay, the multiplier, I can't fix the multiplier. So now I'm going to have to go back to another point and figure out, well, is there something here I can do? This is why I call it Groundhog Day, because he does different things. And it's like the one when
He
they say how
learns
long,
new. He literally learns
Right.
quantum mechanics because he asks Sobe how long. He goes, "Well, I'm also a god, and
yeah,
I don't
but
know
it
it."
could take centuries. And then we see that graphic on the screen, centuries. So
Yeah,
centuries did go by. Cause like in Groundhog Day, that's one of the things that people have speculated. And I've seen a couple of articles online years ago about it, speculating how many days did he actually live? And because they're looking at like how long does it take to learn French? How long does it take to learn piano?
correct.
And so how many years did he spend living the same day?
Over
And
and over again.
yeah, I can't remember what somebody figured out, how like a couple of different people figured out different timelines of if he
Wow.
stacked up things, he might have been able to do it in like 2 years. 2 years of the same day would have been just uh, weird. But yeah,
And it
that's
would
why
make you go mad too if you think
you would think, but not. But so that's why when it said centuries later, I was like, oh, this is kind of like Groundhog Day, and that we don't know how long he spent living that one moment, And so then he switches to, okay, do I stop Sylvie from killing He Who Remains? Maybe that'll do it. And she keeps repeating that line, if you want to stop, if you want me to stop, you'll have to kill me. And how many times she does that, it's just it really a really good use of that theme. Like I said, the repeating time theme is been done. And like he has that conversation with He Who Remains, where He Who Remains says, well, how many times have we had this conversation? So, go ahead and we'll have this conversation a few thousand more times. And then when you're ready, we'll talk.
And then he pauses time. Loki winds up doing it because he's able to do what He Who Remains does. And then he goes, ding, you did it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's as if He Who Remains knew already that was going to happen. It's just not the right time. Mm-hmm. And the fact is that Loki learned how to control his time slipping, knew how to control time to a certain point, meaning this character of Loki is very much more powerful than he ever was. Not only does he have magical powers, but he's able to do this stuff. And we do get that. And the fact is, he thought he would be able to go to that moment. And if he stopped Sylvie from killing He Who Remains, originally that thought would end everything and where they're at. But it didn't happen. But that's when he gets all the information from He Who Remains at that point. And then he realizes he has to go back to that one focal point in time and he did what magically within the branches to stop everything or create even more of an issue because he is a god and he has that power of time now.
Mm-hmm. And well, yeah, I think what he did, what we're supposed to, and this is where there's a little bit in my notes here about this, because I think basically what he did was he became the loom in a sense, but he made it into a tree so that it grows, so that it has room to have infinite timelines. And I noticed in the after time, there's a poster on the wall when B-15 comes out, and the poster at the end says it's got a picture of the tree and a couple people like around the tree, like tending to the tree that he created with all those different timelines. Mm-hmm. And it says, let's grow together. And then at the bottom, something about nurture something for a stable future. And it was kind of blurred out, so I couldn't read it completely when I paused it this time. But yeah, so they changed their kind of method of what they're doing and realizing that, okay, we're not going to be, we're these new timelines are being created, but now they're branches of this tree that Loki has done. And you remember Loki said he was going to claim his throne, and that's what he did. He claimed his throne in time.
Correct.
And so I think that last image where we see him sitting there and the tree is all around him is he has become, the god of time, I guess.
Yeah. And I think that's where we're headed for within the MCU. I would not be surprised if this is the last season that we ever get of Loki. And then his character goes into the MCU and it becomes a crucial portion of what leads us to, which is the ultimate movie, which is Secret Wars, where time becomes alternate variations of people, all these variants from different timelines become an issue. I wouldn't be surprised that he's there working against Kang the Conqueror and having the same abilities. So those comics are from, I would say, about 13 years ago that they came out. And they were great for its time, but these are adaptations, so they might kind of twist certain characters.
Mhm.
So those of you that are comic fans like me, you can't get the truest version of what you want from the MCU that you got from your comics. If you want that, they should just do an animation and have it done verbatim from the comic to animation to, you know, basically to make those people happy who love the comics. The MCU is doing its own adaptation for those that don't follow the comics. And I understand that completely. And I look at it from both perspectives now. But I'm looking forward to see what he does. And I don't think that we're going to get another season of Loki. I think this is probably it. And then we'll probably just see him in the
I don't know.
MCU.
We'll see. This is where we can kind of talk about the things that we thought we were going to see that we didn't see. Things like we thought we were going to see the other Loki variants and we didn't. But then we get that little at the end with Renslayer waking up at the end of time and somebody startles her. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we get a third season and they just use one of the Loki variants.
That'd be
because
interesting.
I mean, we're still out there. Sylvie's still out there. Mobius went home, but that doesn't mean he's going to stay home. Because P15 told him if you ever want to come back, there's always a seat at the table here. Then they're talking about, has any of the variants figured out who that were here yet? And he's like, no, none of them have figured out. One of them did something on a parallel dimension to 616, which I can't remember what 616 is. That's
616 is supposedly the main timeline that we all know, the main Earth of what we know, which is like Spider-Man, the Avengers, all of them are on.
So that might be that might be what if he's talking about that might be one of the upcoming, like you said, the Secret Wars movie or something. I don't know. I'm just interested that we could get a season 3. We don't have to. They don't really have to show us. It was kind of interesting that they would show it. They would have Sylvie still out there, and like Mobius asked, where are you going to go? And she's like, I don't know. And she just leaves. And so we're like, okay, where's she going? Loki's going home. I guess he's going to, or he's just standing there because he says, I'm going to stand here for a little bit because he's got to figure out what time now, what timeline is he on that he's created when he takes it, because, it's just going to be interesting to see. I could see a third season coming or not, but it would be, they give us that scene of showing us the young Victor Timely when he's in his shop there. And originally in episode 3, that's where he gets the book. But we notice that this time he doesn't get the book. So he just kind of looks back at the window and nothing happens. So we can see that things have changed in that timeline at least. So I'm going to be like, I think they could do a third season. It would be interesting to see where you go from here. Are they can they interact with this Loki whose time? Can he step out of the tree? And like you said, is he going to be part of the stuff against He Who Remains variants, Kang? Is he going to fight them? I don't know.
It's a good question.
There's a lot of possibilities here that I think they could do a third season, but if they don't, they don't.
I also love the callback because as Loki is walking on that platform going towards the end and then creating that tree and with the branches and everything and showing his power, we get the horns.
The horns come back out
slowly
again.
Coming back, the classic look of Loki that we know. And I really did enjoy that. It was like, this is a long time coming. We haven't seen this in literally 2 seasons, if you think about it.
Yeah, that CGI was great of his suit kind of falling away and him coming back into his uniform or his Asgardian clothing. It was great.
And the tree itself being green with his power and his magic. So it's showing him as being more of a stronger. I'm not going to say villain. I always still think of Loki as an anti-hero.
Yeah.
in a sense that he's there to do good, but what helps him out and anybody else, but he will do bad against those, like which just like He Who Remains or Miss Minutes. I'm still curious if we'll get to see them again
Right.
in the event of all this. I wouldn't put it past it. I think you're probably correct in saying that we will probably get a season 3, but then again, this show is one of the highest rated on Disney Plus when it comes to the Marvel. A lot of people didn't like that. Like a lot of others, like they didn't like Hawkeye, they didn't like
Mhm.
Falcon and Winter Soldier, things of that nature. WandaVision was heralded as being very good. Was still waiting for Agatha and what's going on with that, if they're even going to
Mhm.
come back with that or just make it a mini movie.
Yeah.
And then we know that Echo was brought back, even though they at one point Disney was looking to cancel that, but they've already filmed a lot, so I guess they're moving forward and giving us that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like, but I'm not going to look forward to like podcasting every episode on it. I would
Yeah.
just love to do that as a whole, to just embrace it completely, just like a movie,
Yeah.
because I am looking forward to seeing Charlie Cox back as Daredevil. But
Yep.
yeah, for Loki,
It was a good finale.
yeah,
If it, like I said, if they make a season 3, great. If they don't, I could see them ending it here, because these characters, you're really probably not going to bring Sylvie into the MCU proper. I don't see her having really any place.
I don't really see her surviving, as a variant of Loki. I could see her getting killed. So if they wind up just destroying her in season 3, or even
I mean, I just don't see.
maybe
I
in a
just see
movie.
her not. Yeah, I just see her not coming back. I mean, I would love to see her come back.
Yeah,
I just don't see what context they would bring her back if outside of a season 3.
correct.
I can't
Yeah,
see
she
where.
doesn't fit the format of what
Yeah,
that would work for the MCU, I think.
yeah.
But yeah,
That's all I got.
that's all I got too. I think that covers everything that we needed to cover
Yeah,
on these 4 episodes. But overall, I did like the season 6 finale. It was interesting to get that feel, and like Steve was saying, I
yeah,
did enjoy the whole Groundhog Day, Happy Death Day 2 kind of feel, with him having to go back and do all that stuff again. I just loved the little nuances. I was kind of disappointed we didn't get more out of OB of what he really was, but apparently he's just a science fiction writer. But
yeah. He was
overall,
just a
yeah,
TVA worker. So
yeah, I like the season. The season as a whole was pretty good. It wasn't as great as season 1 was, because obviously the first season is the first season that you bank everything on,
yeah,
and you fall in love with the whole thing and the idea of it. But
yeah. I
yeah,
would say the same thing. I definitely like season 1 better. I'm not, you know, putting episode 5 aside.
yeah,
I the season as a whole I liked. It was good. It was. I mean, I would not rank it. I don't know how I would rank the shows right now. That's tough for me because I have to go back and rewatch some of them. But I would definitely, like, for me, if we were ranking all of these shows, Captain America and the Winter Soldier, WandaVision, um, I'm losing
Hawkeye,
Moon Knight,
Moon
Hawkeye,
Knight, Hawkeye, yeah,
and then this one, Loki. I would definitely put, for me, Moon Knight as number 1. I really enjoyed that. 1 and 2 would be WandaVision, Moon Knight. They could probably switch back and forth for me. Number 3, probably Hawkeye, because I liked that whole thing. And then 4, Captain America and the Winter Soldier, and then Loki would come in 5th. But Loki's the one that got 2 seasons, so
yeah.
I don't know. It was, like I said, it was okay. And if we get a season 3, great. If we don't, it's okay.
Exactly, same here. I would probably put WandaVision 1, and then I would put Loki 3, but Hawkeye 2,
Okay.
and Falcon and the Winter Soldier Was it Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Falcon and Winter Soldier, yeah. Then it became Captain America at the end, the last episode when he became
Yeah,
Captain America.
because they're
So you're
supposed to
right.
do the new Captain America movie too.
Right.
And then obviously Moon Knight. Moon Knight floats in between for me, like 2 and 3, because it's kind of
Mhm.
hard to wedge in there. Yeah, I
Yeah,
really did
exactly.
enjoy
It's
it.
hard. It's hard to put them because I enjoyed all five shows. I'll say that all 5 shows were enjoyable.
Yeah.
And I haven't got the only one I've gone back and rewatched is WandaVision. So I guess I should rate that as number 1 since that's the only one I've actually gone back and rewatched. But I plan on going back to rewatch Moon Knight at some point.
Yeah. And it's
and we'll
pretty
see.
cool that we get all that stuff too. That's
Yeah.
the awesome thing about Disney Plus. They're not removing a lot of the Marvel content. Unfortunately, we lost a couple of shows on there like Willow and things of that nature because based on ratings and people's approval and everything. So it's hard to come by.
Yeah.
But a lot of these Disney Plus shows are coming out on Blu-ray or Steelbook Blu-ray, so you could find a lot of like WandaVision and Loki and stuff like that. They're being re-released. So for the holidays, if you're looking for a gift for one of your loved ones, you could go out and go buy them. That's not me just plugging away for anything that I'm doing, but I'm just saying it's pretty cool. So I'm not saying that they're going away anytime soon. But for now, we have them on Disney Plus. It's like kind of like a Netflix only content. So with that end that they have on Netflix, where it's like a Netflix specific, they're not going to remove that content. It's always going to be there. So for Disney Plus, it's always going to be there, depending on what it is. But I think that we covered Loki season 2 properly with this last episode on it. To keep you listeners notified, we are going to do a review of the Marvels with, like I already stated in the very beginning, it came out literally at the same night that Loki season 2 episode 6, the finale, came out. So this is the weekend, this Friday that we're covering, but I'm looking forward to seeing it on Sunday and get some notes together in my head because really hard when you have to go to the movies and you can't watch it over and over again.
Yeah. I'm going to try to see it Monday is going to be my goal.
So next week
right.
we'll cover that. I figure that'll be the next episode that we do. To keep you guys notified too, I kind of fell back on a lot of things. So Rob and I will be doing episodes 3, 4, 5, and 6, or is it 5? No. 5, 6, 7, and 8 of Gen V. So we're playing catch up because I didn't put out those episodes. Rob was out for a while, so I'm gonna be doing that. And then that's about it as far as what we're doing right here on Panels to Pixels. So next up, will podcast recommendations or where people could listen to you, Steve?
Really right now, the podcasting shows, I'll push Strange Indeed. They're covering the fall of the House of Usher, and I'm sending them voicemails in for each of those episodes. They also do a bonus episode of Great British Bake Off baking show or whatever it's called, and I missed this week's. Hopefully, I might have missed. I might have missed it. Usually, they record pretty early, so I may have missed my window for this week because I was busy all morning dealing with a crisis at work. And that's why when you messaged me, I was like, yeah, it's already been a day. Like half my day was gone. I was dealing with not a huge crisis, but a crisis at where I work. And I had to get that straightened out. So once I got it straightened out, it was all good.
That's cool. Yeah, I know how busy life could get. And then
It's true.
Literally what has been happening with myself as well. That's why a lot of the content. So a lot of people where you could hear me elsewhere on Adrenaline Cinema podcast, obviously on the Pirate Core Entertainment Network, you could hear me there. I released 2 episodes this past week, which was late coming for The Wolfman, which was supposed to be out on Halloween. So my feeling is whether it came out on, people still celebrate into November.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people that rush into Christmas, but I still love the idea of having Samhain or Halloween or whatever it is, all that spooky stuff. I like ringing it in. But then again, I like to ring that stuff throughout the year because I love Halloween and I just love horror movies and old classic horror movies, stuff like that. But you could hear also Total Recall as well. That came out with Jason and myself on Adrenaline Cinema podcast. Next up, I'm not certain exactly to what I'm doing yet on there, but we'll have one towards the end of the month. It's either Friday the 13th, the final chapter, or it could possibly be another movie out of the blue that I might do with somebody else. I haven't figured that one out yet, but until that time, just keep a lookout on Facebook, and all you have to do is go to facebook.com/Adrenaline Cinema Podcast. You could not only just hear me here on Panels to Pixels podcast, but there, and you could also hear me on Fantasy Picks Movie Edition. And upcoming would be our coverage of Prometheus and how we could fix that particular movie from 2012. Honestly, I like the movie, so I don't know why Rob put me on it. But I will think of ways to change it. There was a few things on my rewatch that I watched recently that I could change, so check that out. That's Fantasy Picks Movie Edition. And then you could hear me on Wilhelm when we cover Monarch, The Legacy of Beasts, which is Legendary's and Apple TV Plus's series about Godzilla and all the legendary monsters, which are based on Toho product. So you can hear me, Ben Beck, which it's a combined podcast between Wilhelm and Podcastica. So you could hear me there. Look forward to possibly Sandman, because apparently Sandman's coming back within the next year, even though they filmed. So look out for that. Unfortunately, I didn't put anything out there for this particular episode for you to send feedback, but to send feedback, all you have to do is go to our Facebook group, which would be facebook.com/Panels to Pixels. We could be found on YouTube, and all you have to do is search for Panels to Pixels podcast. Keep that in mind, podcast. There's another Panels to Pixels, so don't confuse us with Josh's particular YouTube channel. While you're there, you could listen to us, you could see us, or whatever, whenever we do video or interviews and whatnot. Subscribe, give us a thumbs up on the episodes if you like them. They're also put in there as podcasts, so a lot of people like to use that to listen to their podcast. And obviously, talking about podcast players of choice, we can be found on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, or whatever podcast player of choice. Preferably, if you could give us a kind of rating or review on Apple Podcasts, it'd be greatly appreciated. 5 stars is always appreciated and welcomed. But just give us a rating or review. Write something out. It'd be amazing, because I usually get notified with that. If you want to email us, you could just email us the normal way, which would be panelstopixels1@gmail.com. Literally, it's panels, 2 is spelled out to pixels, and the number 1@gmail.com. Write out your thoughts. We'll read them. Doesn't necessarily have to be what we're doing currently. It could be an older episode that we covered or show, and then we'll read those comments on the when we record. And then, or if you want to just record yourself and just add it as an attachment, we all have these cool, nifty devices so that you could easily do it on your phone, your iPad, or computer, because now everybody uses Zoom and everything else. Record yourself and then just send it to us, and we'll play it, and we'll comment on your thoughts. We could be found on Instagram as well at Panels to Pixels Podcast. So follow us there. Actually notify people when the episode is up, or leave the image of where you could put your comments below as well, just like in Facebook. It happens at the same time because I link the accounts. So that's about it. I had a good time with this one. I'm sad to see Loki go for now, but this was fun. Yeah. I just want to thank everybody for listening. I'm Mark.
I'm Steve.
Different panel, different pixel, same podcast. This was Panels to Pixels podcast, and we'll see you on the next panel. Good day, sir.
Good night.